And I don't have any of the settings actually converted over from the other ones, so we're in business. Ta-da. There's... Oh, that's just visible through there. I suppose that I should remove this. Also, I do owe you guys a day of Goblin voice, technically, for the new PC thing. You would not believe the day I had, though. So... I spent, as I mentioned on Twitter and Blue Sky, I spent an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, dealing with texture atlas issues. It was because I had the sheet for it way too large. It just decided, I'm gonna not work now. With zero warning. Also, I learned a lot of new things. So things may be a little scuffed because a lot of these aspects are new. However, you may notice that there's a few extra bells and whistles and advantages over the base over the Nasu model. For clarity, for those that have not been paying attention, depending on perspective, up to a year. Let me double check that. Because this was promised long ago. I believe it was during the Cat Fix-a-thon, which was dubbed the Nostalgia-thon. Yes, for 250, it was update Goblin mode, which is updating list. So that's how we got here. Let me actually reveal like the whole thing before we actually get into this. A little surprise to literally no one who knows what most of this music is, but the Suic outfit. This isn't going to be the base outfit for Liss when it's all said and done. But spooky month, Halloween, the entire month of Halloween, I'll be in this outfit. I don't know if I'll do the voice all the time, because doing the voice every single stream for a month, when I have at least 2 of those days that I normally wouldn't do accounted for, ain't gonna play. Not with my voice, anyway. Especially while I'm doing renovations and whatnot. And inhaling a bunch of particles and whatnot, and getting into hacking fits in the mornings. But I learned delayed movement for this. I actually added more aspects to the eyes. As you saw at the beginning, I actually finally got around to doing this. Doesn't have the tongue, because the tongue is very large, So that might be something that we add to later down the line. I also learned a few other things during. But let's see if I can actually show the big gap between these two. Not that. We'll start a second one. Which won't be visible. This one gets to go on old list. I don't know what the size comparison is currently. These are about the same height overall, so they will get the same. But let me... do this. There we go. We also need... that. All right. A lot of differences. The toenails are one of the only things that stayed. The teeth are obviously notably different. There are 2 eyes, even though now the hairstyle actually covers over the other eye a little bit better. Obviously, this new model is actually rigged for V-Bridger purposes. We're not going to count the outfit in. I believe they got bigger. They don't sag as much, at the very least. At least not when actually in a shirt, so... the pose is more dynamic, as I pointed out while we were actually working. The ears are higher. Ears are... I like the new ear style, and obviously separating from the cave goblin aspect. The face is more filled. Dark sclera instead of the white sclera. And a lot of things that have been learned since... The only downside is that one of the spots that my eye sits at puts the skull or the pupil like right behind the hanging hair strand. Her nose outright disappears at certain points in the old model because of how I used to do the nose stuff. Because I'd put it at an angle and then it'd flip. So yeah, there's a lot of differences. I'm still not entirely sure what base outfit will be for this, but I don't have to worry about that for like another month. But you can definitely see why I wanted to change and update the model a lot. Also, her old design didn't have an eyebrow, apparently. But I did make it in time. Ish. I had the issues earlier, but I am not late due to rigging and whatnot. I'm late because I might be called away partway through tonight. Because we're doing renovation stuff and we're moving, bed. So, we may have, I may have to step away for a bit. Partway through. But, two birds with one stone. You can thank Frosty, actually, for why we're here. She's the one that suggested that I use the goblin for the Halloween outfit. That being said, though, you can get out of here. I don't need you now. That's a 3-year gap, by the way. If I'm not mistaken. Two-year gap. God, Rolling Horizons lasted longer than I thought it did. I am going to have to stay hydrated, though. I don't know how long we're going to run tonight. I may just yap. I may do something small. Get it small. I actually thought I was going to be a bit late because I spent 5 hours yesterday trying to update to Windows 11, hoping that that would fix my audio problems. It did not entirely. The kickbots are really stupid. You could be in special events or just chatting and they'll freaking be like, I love this game. Anyway, that being said, here we are. This model doesn't really have many toggles for this. The base outfit will get a gun toggle, as requested, after, I think, the same, actually. No. Yes. The one right before it was chat chooses a new accessory. And the only one that asked for a new accessory was Teber, who asked for giving the goblin a gun. Which is ironic because Nasu got a gun first in the end. But there are a few toggles, none of which I'm going to show over here. Those ones you'll have to check maybe tomorrow's stream. If you want to know where those are, though, relatedly, it's in my card, and you can also join the Discord in order to get access to the role that allows you to go over there. I put a lot of detail into this. A lot of detail. A lot of detail that is not going to be visible 90% of this month. It also has one toggle that I'm very, very proud of that I may show off a bit. Inappropriate channels. Not here. I didn't even set up the toggles for this. One thing I do need to do is I need to grab the ones from the Nasu model so that I move around in a way that's like with my controls rather than me having to manually do. I did have a few ideas, the stuff that I did want to add. Decided against it because of how I wound up going with setting up PC and some of the technical difficulties I had. Like the aforementioned spending 4 hours upgrading to Windows 11, the popping, I spent 2 days trying to fix the popping on Windows 10. That's part of why I decided on Windows 11 in the end, against my better judgment. Also because there's like 2 weeks left that it exists, or that it's being supported without me paying $30, and I'm not paying $30 for something that's already expected to be a XNAID. And then have to pay $250 in order to actually upgrade to Windows 11 at the end of that. Because I know how Windows plays. But we're all sorted now. My primary holdover is done. So I can get to work on other things. We will probably be doing a decent amount of art. I know at least one day is going to be held over for an art day. Probably 2 days. Next week I might be collabing with someone for an art stream. Am I confirmed for that, actually? Let me double check something. It hasn't been updated. I have confirmed my slot, though. It is on a Wednesday, so it means you guys get an extra stream that week. But on the 22nd, I will be part of an event called the Creative Carousel, hosted by, I don't know how to pronounce exactly, but Oceanics. Let me let me give her a shout out. Oceanics. But she is another artist VTuber, and she does a lot of retro style art, and she's also a model artist, I believe. She made her own PNG. I feel like she also has a live 2D now that I think she also did the art for. But she's a very good artist, and she wanted to do an event for her return after her recent surgery. And she wanted to have like a chain event where creatives raid into other creatives, and like some people do for their charity events, which I did like also 2 years ago, I think. 3 years ago now. I think it was also a Halloween event, ironically enough. But similar to that, where I get rated by someone specific who is also a creative. We do art for 3 hours, and then I raid into someone else who is a creative. And I wonder, actually, like, it'll be interesting to meet new artists that way. Because I've wanted to run into more art tubers. I follow a lot of them, but I also at the same time have wanted to like run into more. It'd be fun. And it also, like, considering that at the time range that it is, it means that I'll also have like more people that I could potentially raid later down the line as well, because it means that they're likely in the same schedule-ish that I am. But I'm excited for that. I also I'm going to be playing Phasmo for the first time ever later this month. Which that'll be a really early stream. Because the person that I got invited by is on the opposite schedule I am. That'll be like more like an 11 a.m. kind of deal than a... Let me double check that time, actually. It's on like the 30th. It's like right at the end of the month. Let's see here. Yes. 10 a.m. No, noon. Because it's 11 a.m. Central. Noon to 4. So what I'll probably wind up doing is... Let's see here. That's Thursday. That week. So I'll wind up sleeping a bit throughout the night. And then probably running that, and then probably take a nap afterward. Probably what I'll wind up doing. We'll see how that plays out. Either way, look forward to it. Unless I get super fucking sick. I mean, we all know how last year went. I debuted the Nasu the Nasu Halloween outfit, and then had to spend like I debuted, went to sleep, spent like half the week having fever dreams and hallucinating, and then we wound up finally playing some things. And I was in my Voices of the Void addiction. This month I'm probably going to keep it to... We're gonna do Doom Eternal. Because that's A, been redeemed, and B, fitting for this month. I want to do Conscript partway through the month. I want to obviously do a lot of art. Because I still got to do some attacks in an event that I'm in. And I also just kind of want to do more art. I have a few ideas floating around in the head. It'll kind of throw questions on how things play out, generally. But we'll see how it goes. Hey, Alwyn, how you been doing? Well, at least things are hopefully getting better. Bryce knows that everyone's been having life happen over the past few months. And thanks. I finished the last of it like 10 minutes before stream. And stream was late. I learned like 80 new things from it. One of the more obvious bits being the delayed movement. Obviously, most of the face stuff is new. I don't know if you... Have you been around since I updated Nasu's mouth? Because that's also... I mean, it happened earlier this year, but... I know that there was someone that raided me like a month or so ago, who was like, oh, yeah, I can see that your mouth is better. Because they hadn't raided me since, like, before I did the mouth update. When was the mouth update for Nasu? Why do I get... I mean, it's nice, I guess, but why does my File Explorer need tabs? Let's see here. Models. Model 3. I need winter comfy. Seventh month? 3 months ago? But yeah, probably not. That's what? July? Yeah, go ahead. I'd actually wondered a few different times as to what you had been up to. I knew that, like, college, obviously, but I didn't know that things had gone pear-shaped. And I thought that people didn't go to college until they had, like, an idea as to what they were going for. At least in the US normally, because too expensive. Gotcha. I need to freaking... I need to conserve money recently. Oh, my breathing room threshold. Which is hypocritical because I freaking... I mean, they're mandatory. It's not like I freaking decided to spend $300 on Fumos despite the fact that I only had $300. So I guess I'm not hypocritical compared to, like, my extensive talking about it. What kinds of classes were you even taking then? Like, I guess first year you're kind of just taking generic things to get points, but... I mean... even without the social anxiety, finding a job is rough. As I've found, as I can attest to. Unless you've got an in already, it's, well... I went for 2 years, actively hunting, 500 plus applications, one partial proc that I never got to part 2 on. 2 technically, but the second one I got screwed up on because of life things. But I've been passively hunting still for, like... two years since then? And obviously I lost count of it around the 500 point. I mean, even friends, it really depends. Because, like, not everyone can get nepoed in is the thing. It really depends on the job. Like, you could theoretically have friends in all the wrong job classifications. Like, I've got friends that are in, like, trucking and, medical and bartending. Bartending is kind of the only one that I'd probably be able to do out of those three. Medical, obviously, I need actual schooling for. And I need a CDL. I technically still... I need a license for bartending as well. But in that case, it's a friend that's, like, all the way across the country. So I still don't have an in. Because most bars are, like, local joints. But yeah, the job market is more than a little rough. Almost as rough as my voice is already getting, and it's only been less than an hour. And that's why I said it. That's why the original thing was for Goblin Voice for only an hour. Then I was stupid and decided, oh, for this one, since we're going for such a high goal, it'll be Goblin Voice for an entire stream. And then people actually got it. That's where we are right now. Luckily, tomorrow is other site stream, if it is a stream. I'll probably do other site, because much like Fifi, I do want to show off the other toggles of this model, and most of them can't be shown over here. And by that I mean I think all of them can't be shown over here. Technically, I could do one single toggle over here. And even then, they might bonk me for it. It's also in my card. I did finally add it to my card. Because the only places that it was one Blue Sky post, and I don't even know if I advertised it at all on... No, I did long ago on alt Twitter. When I originally got cleared for the account. But it's just Blue Twitch is all it is. Which we might be streaming more over there for this month, because I do have... How long do I have until I have to have all of my attacks done? It's November is when the event ends somewhere. Someone pissed off a skunk. Every goddamn day. For the past week, there has been a skunk. November 14th. But yeah. I've been streaming over there on Fridays on average. Partially because I've actually had stuff to work on over there. Aspects of this model that I can't show over here. And one of them was partially because I was helping Ray get set up on certain things. I do kind of want to, when Bubble gets her new PC sorted, I do want to see about collabing with her. With, like, an art stream or something. I don't know exactly what we'd wind up doing, but she did invite me to, like, an art stream collab at some point. And since I have attacks to do... it seems like a perfect win-win. Speak of the devil. Yeah, we might... I don't know if we reached that goal technically, but I do have one game that I've had on the back burner for a bit. And especially since the creator of it is a VTuber fan, I may freaking swing that by. Because it's Doom! So it is fitting for Halloween. I can't wink with this model because it just looks like a blink. It's the Pahi problem, except I don't have a toggle where my other eye is uncovered, despite the fact that it's fully rigged, with physics and everything. Unlike the old model where it didn't even exist, and the hair didn't actually cover over it enough to... I technically made Liss canonically not have a second eye. For that purpose, then. But but I do want to, like, show off the toggles and whatnot over there. I'll, like, wind up showing off the toggles, and then they'll probably be, like, locked behind donation amounts after that. I also want to completely have a different version of Liss visible for over there. Like, so I don't accidentally set a toggle to a certain key and then accidentally hit that over here and get my ass beaten by Twitch. Which is basically just duplicate it and then actually add the toggles and mark it as stay over there. It's arguably easier than setting up for extra profiles and whatnot so that I don't have, like, all of my stuff for over there show up over here. During break, I may make myself some tea. That way I have something warm to keep my voice from dying. Because water on its own, I'm dead. I'm dead. But water on its own, I know for sure isn't enough. Because this voice originally existed for Sound of Drop. For a character. I learned really quick, once that character got more voice lines in the second set of routes, that this voice really starts to wear down if I have to use it extensively. And then if I have to use it even more, it gets fucky. Because during that Sound of Drop run, I had D&D the following day where I was playing this character. Well, the previous version of this character. With the bluer skin and X, Y, and Z. Because she was a cave goblin in the original. Before she became Syncopian. And that didn't go so well. I mean, it didn't matter because one of the biggest complaints about that game was the fact that only one character was allowed to have character development. Technically two, but one of them had frequent issues where they had to dip for a hot minute. That being said, changing lists was not that difficult just because there was no development of her, so I didn't have to figure out what to keep and what to get rid of. Making her a Tinkerer was a natural conversion from making her an Artificer originally. She's no longer a Cave Goblin, no longer got the blue hues. Partially because I just kind of wanted to change what, tones I was using for her. It just kind of, worked together. Various other changes. I may, like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do for her, canon outfit. It's not, I don't think it'll be too terribly different from the previous outfit. I don't know. That's what I figure out later down the line when I actually go through and... I don't have to worry about that till after this month at all. Because this outfit's going to be all this month. Because Halloween. As for... I'm taking a little inspiration from another outfit I saw from an Artificer Goblin, ironically enough. Which isn't that far off from her old outfit in the end. So I have no idea as to what we'll wind up doing. I mean, yeah. What better spell is there than gun? Actually, come to think of it, is there a single goblin that I've made that has not been some offshoot of Artificer in any of my campaigns? Yes, the original ones that wound up making the Tinkerer clan, I guess that they would have become... I like Magician's Brick. We're about to hit ads, so I will be right back and actually get myself some drink. That way I'm not dying, and my voice is not dead by the end of this. very least that's coming from my computer. And that's all I care about. A pungent stink can come from anywhere else as long as it's not my PC. For all I know, the neighbors are smoking weed. Why in God's green earth is... I also got myself some zucchini. Because it's also warm. I also needed something to eat because having exclusively fluids in my stomach was not playing well with me. I think I should have put them in longer. Normally 2 minutes is enough to soften the zucchini. So I might have to put it in for a little bit longer. But I have my tea. It got to boiling, so it'll be a little bit. I got water. Doubled up on the water. The bed is being deconstructed currently, so I may be called upon. Speak of the devil. Moment. called away again in like seconds. Well, at least I don't freaking wind up with bird awaiting peanut every time that I step away. Like on pre-mouth update Nasu. But I will be called away here in a second, so I'm not even going to remove the be right back. Because we're moving the centerpiece headboard. I have an unfortunate job, which I have no idea how the fuck it happened. Considering sunlight alone should have stopped it from it. We'll figure it out. So much stuff to clean. Good fucking lord. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? That's part of renovation. It's just, well, I hope that you enjoy cleaning shit that you thought was already cleaned. I'll be right. God damn it, dude. Alright, second verse, same as the first. I'll be here for a bit until I'm called away again. I don't even think that cleaning in itself is a problem. The problem is that we're renovating, which means that we have a lot of shit that hasn't been moved in nearly 30 years, because basically since I was born. Like a small gap between me being born and everything basically being put in here. For the majority of the things that we're moving. But we moved the headboard of the bed, and there's been a lot of shit that is just caked like onto the everything. I don't even live in a town. That's the fun part. I live in the middle of nowhere. So I wind up just... It's why I spent, like, all of... What was it? 2020. All of 2020 fighting with my ISP to actually get... fiber out this way. Because on this, like, 5-mile stretch of road, there is less than 10 people on it. There's, like, 5 houses. It's weird for those to be separated. Normally when a city builds itself around a river, unless it's like a state separating sized river, they just keep it as the same city. Because of how civilization, like, expands outward. Gotcha. Yeah, that's the only one that I can really think of. Like, the reason why Cincinnati and... What is the city on the other side? Newport, right? Newport's the one across from... That's why they're two different cities instead of, you know, both being either Cincinnati or Newport. It would have been Cincinnati, because Cincinnati was the major city historically speaking. At least as far as any records that I know of. Back when pork was a deciding factor in everything, apparently. I was actually kind of surprised watching the Wendigoon video on the Coal Wars that some dude from the 1918 region or something like that, 1910s, 1920s, I don't remember when his speech was, mentioned Cincinnati specifically by name. Because now it definitely takes a backseat to Ohio on the whole, and Ohio on the whole only is acknowledged because it's the SCP state. And I guess Cleveland, to a certain degree. For all the wrong reasons. Well, that fucking hurt. That's part of the stem. I didn't know the stem could reach down into the meat of the thing. Stem itself has its own roots, I guess. But yeah. Now that I'm not, like, neck deep in the overlap between old PC and new PC projects, I'm hoping to get some other major things done. Big projects on the horizon and all that, I suppose. I don't know exactly how long I'm going to run tonight, to be honest. Considering we're renovating still, I may... I may still end at about the same time. Even if it does mean that we have a shorter stream today. It also means that I don't wind up freaking killing my voice by... goblin voicing for 7+ hours. But yeah, we'll play it by ear a bit, I suppose. I do want to have, like, games and whatnot be on, like, their own day when there are major things like me starting Doom Eternal. And also not me being pulled away for other important things in the middle of it. I need to... I mean... I need to figure out what the order of operations is going to be on things. Because to a certain degree, I want to start doing schedules again now that things are not going to, like, for sure crash. But I also need to kind of build my schedule around major renovation day. Speaking of which, on schedule stuff, though, I need to reach out to a few different people about, like, VTuber Vault. I want to reach out to Rhea, because I wanted to have PC done in time to snipe her shortly after her debut. But her work schedule is rough, to say the least. So that leads into an issue of I don't know how to properly schedule them. So we kind of play it by ear, I guess, a little bit in that regard. I also have a few other things I need to work on in general. I do kind of need to do so. I do need to add some interpolation frames on certain things that I forgot to. That way things are smoother without needing the VTube Studio smoothing. Because the VTube Studio smoothing just means that it doesn't pick my stuff up as well. Which is why you remove it for the eyes and whatnot. I also have to readjust all my rendering stuff for the Blue Twitch stuff, because I haven't done that yet. And I wanted to focus on my GPU like I have over on this, so that we don't... Actually, what are we sitting at currently for OBS's consumption? OBS at a whopping between 0 and 9%. GPU rendering is a life changer. Old PC, and even my first stream on new PC when I hadn't set it over to GPU rendering, old PC was 50% at times of CPU consumed by OBS alone. It was at 20% first stream on new PC before I set it to... Also, I can remove my be right back. I haven't been called away. Before I properly set it to GPU rendering. The fact that we hit 0 at times is insane. And I think that it's only really picking up occasionally that, like, the chat and like, web-related things currently. It's direct back and forth with Twitch and whatnot. But I am very interested to see how things go. And I'm also excited to be working on something that I can, like, put in the corner more frequently again. As is evident from... That's from the 9th of September. We're a week short of it being a year, or not a year old, a month old. Normally I have a new piece a week. But obviously, model making takes notably longer. I also have to be careful not to freaking do this motion while I'm freaking too far below the screen or something, because I don't know how Twitch will freaking react to the fact that the delay on all that freaking looks. I don't trust Twitch with anything these days, is the problem. I mean, doubly so currently, where freaking... They rolled out another thing where I think it... People are assuming that it's third parties and ad blockers that are currently the problem, that Twitch is not like, accepting that people exist, rather than lurkers, which it does definitely seem like that's more accurate. Because I know that I have several lurkers, and they seem to still be being counted. And several people that I know are not being dropped to, like, 100 viewers from their usual of 500. Despite the fact that 90% of their chat is lurk. So I don't think that it's actually that they're not counting lurkers. I think it's the ad block thing. Similar to YouTube. Why are some of my old videos getting so many views? That video that freaking has the third most views today is freaking 2 years old. I guess it's not, you know, at least it's not the theory that freaking always cooks at the top. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with, like, lurking and whatnot. I'm a pathological lurker myself. And I can yap for days, and because I don't like hearing my own voice, but I like listening to my own voice, if that makes sense. So I'm not exactly, you know, at a loss just because, oh, I don't have 30 people to talk at and bounce off of. Oh no, I'm cooked as a streamer. And yes, that is a call out. But yeah, I don't have a problem with lurkers, really. I wish that Twitch didn't have as much of a problem with lurkers, because lurkers, as I've stated, and as most every streamer that doesn't bot their freaking views, Oblivion, points out, lurkers are kind of the backbone of Twitch. I think it varies a little bit. Like, there's obviously an aspect of you have to be able to entertain yourself in order to entertain other people so that people come in so that you can bounce off of them and whatnot. It's like any live show kind of deal. You have to provide the entertainment ahead of time at a base level. If your jokes suck at a comedy show and you have zero reactions from the crowd, you're not going to have those reactions to bounce off of. You have to a certain degree, be able to run on your own. But I know like 3 different people that they'll stream for like 10 minutes and be like, oh, well, I didn't have 30 people show up, so I gave up because I was bored. Like, well, you're not going to have 30 people if you don't stream long enough for people to even show up. Because, like, that's part of why most of us, most VTubers do a starting soon screen, is because it takes, like, 10 plus minutes for most people to get, like, the pings and freaking show up and whatnot, right? So if you, like, start off and just start, then you wind up being like, I'm gonna quit after 10 minutes because I don't have people talking in chat for me to bounce off of, or I only have X person in chat to bounce off of. You can't complain about the fact that you're not getting anywhere with it. Nobody can find you on Twitch if you're not live. As much as Twitch tries to claim that. Also, I'd like to point out, Twitch has started doing ads. They might have already been doing it, but they've started doing ads on VODs, like, reliably. But I still don't know about any ad revenue that comes from VODs. Apparently, they are rolling out a thing that well, the best thing is to upload elsewhere. And funnel, which Twitch openly admits is kind of the way to do it, and they freaking have given tools to do so, which the other sites are like, no, you don't, and they will snuff you if you just try and port over directly from Twitch. But consistency is definitely, like, a big part of it, right? If you're live, and, like, you can stream once a week as long as you're consistently on that one day a week. There's a stark difference between that and I'm going to stream on Tuesday this week, and Wednesday this week, and Monday this week, and then on Friday this week, and why am I not getting exponential growth? I don't know. I just know too many people that, you know, blame everything aside from their own work. Like, I don't expect to exponentially grow on Twitter, partially because, God, it's fucking Twitter. And unless you're paying, you're getting snubbed anyway. But I don't really post a whole lot on Twitter. I'll give, like, little snippets of, like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is how far I am on thing. Or, like, random shower thoughts I have. But I'm not, like, constantly going, look at this! I have X event going on! I blah 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 blah. I have X blah blah blah, Y blah blah blah. I'm not, like, posting 17 times a day. So I'm not expecting to, you know, wake up and go, oh my god, 10 new followers? 50 new followers? Unless they're bots. But I don't get notified for bots. Twitter can't get rid of the bots, but they can notify. They can learn enough to not freaking notify you when bots have followed you. But yeah. Like I said in the one thing, I'm very good at knowing how things work. I'm just very bad at implementing it. I can give advice for days. Me actually implementing that advice, pain in the ass. Because I get distracted with, like, a bunch of other shit all the time. I consume too much to produce. But I don't, one moment.